Presidential race grows. Several critical election contests loom in the United States Senate. Democrats hold a fragile 51-49 majority, but Republicans believe they have a great opportunity, a big opportunity, especially this year, to retake power. Tonight, we take a look at the battle for the U.S. Senate and some key races with massive implications for control of the chamber.
To elect Democrats up and down the ticket.
This is the moment with this map where we've got to take back the United States Senate.
Less than 9 months from Election Day, Republicans are betting on a standout map to carry them across the finish line.
There's no room for error for Democrats. They have to pitch a perfect game. They cannot lose any other incumbents, even if they do win the presidency.
Democrats must defend 23 of the 34 open Senate seats in November, 8 of which are seen as competitive. Republicans need to flip just 2 seats to take control without winning the White House.
If Democrats take the White House, what does that mean for those down-ballot elections for the Senate seats? As it puts in play that vice president deciding vote, that if you have a 50-50 split Senate, that's the deciding vote.
Democrats hold seats in 3 states that former President Trump won in 2020, and 5 states Biden won by less than 3 points. Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. With West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin retiring, Republicans feel confident that his seat is a prime pickup opportunity.
This nation needs us as Republicans to win.
In Montana, Democratic Senator Jon Tester is seeking a 4th term, though former President Trump won that state handily in 2020.
In a state that last time went 16 points for Trump, that is just a huge margin for someone like Tester to overcome.
The man in charge of the Senate GOP re-election effort sees the other seat in his state as ripe for the taking.
It was a narrow victory for Jon Tester back in 2018, just 18,000 votes. He won re-election. He's never had to face Trump on the ballot, which will happen in this election.
Senate Republican leadership is backing Navy SEAL and businessman Tim Sheehy.
Whether it was in war or business, I see problems and solve them.
As part of its overhaul to promote candidates who can win in November.
One of our key strategies coming into the 24 election is to make sure we had candidates that could not just win a primary, but could win a general election.
That strategy will be put to the test during the June 4th state primary, with Representative Matt Rosendale jumping into the race.
This is the people across Montana opposing the NRSC. They do not want Mitch McConnell and the NRSC selecting the next senator from the state of Montana.
He ran against Tester in 2018, lost. He has, of course, sort of drawn the ire of the establishment with everything he did during ousting Speaker McCarthy.
Rosendale received former President Trump's endorsement in 2018.
Very, very important that we elect Matt.
But lost to Tester by just 3 points.
I think the primaries are going to be a really interesting time for us to see where we get more MAGA-backed Republicans versus your more traditional Republicans.
Of the 10 highly competitive 2022 Senate races, only 4 Trump-endorsed candidates emerged victorious. Is candidate quality this time a concern for you?
So I've always said the most important day in election is filing day, not election day. And we want conservative candidates that can appeal to a broader spectrum. Think Ronald Reagan.
In Ohio, a crowded Republican field aims to beat incumbent Democrat Senator Sherrod Brown. Republican leaders in the Senate haven't backed a candidate there yet. I mean, you've got 3 candidates. You've got the state senator Mike Dolan, Secretary of State Frank LaRose, and businessman by former President Trump. You don't weigh in on that?
We think all 3 of them could win. On the other hand, we were working to dissuade a couple other candidates that were thinking about getting into Ohio that we saw did not get in the race.
With abortion a major focus the last election cycle in 2022, Democrats are leaning into that issue once again.
Since Roe was overturned, tens of millions of Americans in red states and blue marched to the polls in defense of fundamental freedoms.
Give me a Democratic House of Representatives and give me a bigger Democratic Senate. And we will pass a new law restoring the protection of Roe v. Wade.
I mean, they're going to hit it every stop, Senator. So how do Republicans figure out the messaging there?
It's important for us to get out and say that. You can't run away from the issue. You got to look at the cameras again and say, this is where I stand, and not be afraid to litigate this issue in a way here that the independent voters, some of you from our pro-choice women voters in suburban areas will say, you know, that's a reasonable position, and I can support that.
Who is going to show up? What kind of reaction are we getting based on a lot of the abortion laws that are happening in that state? And then states like Ohio, that's going to be a factor in the election.
How the U.S. Senate chamber looks depends on what the candidates look like come general election, and a lot can happen between now and November.